Alright, this is going to be a quick one. I'll try to do as fast as I can without looking at my notes or pausing. Not all this video will feature gameplay, but this is my NHL Atlantic Division predictions. Just like how I did Metro, I'll talk about teams, place them, and give my thoughts and how they're going to do. So number one, I know I'm going to get flanked over this, but I'm picking Tampa Bay Lightning for first over Toronto. I'm probably going to get people saying Toronto second from Leafs fans or anything, but I'm picking Lightning because after what they came off Eastern Conference Final, sadly they lost Game 7 and they choked again, which is ridiculous for Lightning because this team always confuses me. They make the finals in 2015, 16 back to the conference, 17 don't even make the playoffs, and 18 Eastern and they lose again and they fall, which is getting ridiculous. But they're going to be good for more years to come if Stamkos stays healthy. And they got Kucherov, they got Point, they got Hedman, they also got T. Johnson, they got Gordy and others like Ryan McDonough on defense. But if Stamkos can stay healthy and Kucherov can have that amazing season again, and they got a goaltender in Borowski who played 65 games, but I think he needs to play somewhere lower, but they can't rely on him multiple times this year to bail them out. So yeah, and I think the backup should play more than 12 games. I would say maybe higher to 21 games or 25, but so yeah, I'm picking Tampa first. Toronto, you're going to be a deadly team. They got Marner, who's a 20-goal scorer. They got Matthews, who's a 30-goal scorer. They got William Nylander, who can put up some points. They got Kadri, a 30-goal scorer. They got veteran leadership in Patrick Marleau from the Sharks. And holy hell, John Tavares is going to come in handy, who has potential to be a 50-goal scorer. Now he's got people to give him the puck now and feed him it. Plus he can mentor the young guys and for the Leafs. They got Frederik Andersen, a goaltender who's basically good. But they can't rely on him a lot. And they got some good defensemen. One in Ron Hainsey, who has playoff experience and Stanley Cup. But their defense is a little weak, but if they can get if they can get a defenseman before the season is over, the regular one, or at the deadline, I think they'll be good. And they have multiple 30-goal scorers on this team and players that are young. They got speed. And with Tavares, he's going to be deadly. Now he's finally got an actual team. But I think the pressure needs to be on Matthews, because in case he starts being like, oh, we got this, it's not on me. And the Leafs could suffer if Matthews does not have the pressure, in my opinion. I think the young guys need to have the pressure. And plus the Leafs have young guys from the farm team after that Calder Cup championship. So those guys can make the roster because they have a championship experience, even though it's different. So Leafs, I'm picking you second. Good luck, Leafs. There's nothing much I can say about this team. Is that they do have depth. 3 30-goal scorers and Brad Marchand. Some guy, I can't read his name right. Starts with B. And I can't read the other guy's name, but I'm looking at the stats. If Rick Nash resigns, I feel like he can come in handy. They got a young, talented players on their roster, so defense, wings, they're good. Chara, he's still good for how old he is, the tallest player in the NHL. So Boston, nothing much, and they got goaltending is pretty much good. And one thing I will say about this team is physical, really physical. All right, next teams. So far, the top 3 don't look any different. It's going to be like this for a couple years. Anyway, for wild card, 4th place, for wild card, I'm going to place Florida. Because this team I think will be coming strong after missing the playoffs by 1 point. 1 point this team missed the playoffs. Just 1 point. Because this is a team that I want to see get good. As a Pens fan, it's upsetting to see this team suffer because their attendance is in trouble and they always seem to look good on paper, but they just can't seem to get it done in the beginning of the season. It's just upsetting to see Florida struggle. I want to see Florida get better. As a Penguins and Vegas Golden Knights fan, I want to see this team get better. It's painful to see them suffer like this. Miami should be successful. Well, I'll be rooting for them, but I'm going to pick them in the wild card spot. Hopefully they make it because this should build strength and for them. But it would be disappointing to see them just struggle again and miss the playoffs again after this. So yeah. Alright, the next team, Buffalo, I'm going to pick them in a wild card if they make it. And I'm hoping to God, too, this team makes the playoffs because they've been struggling for the past few years, and it's... You gotta feel bad for Buffalo fans. This team has not made the playoffs since 2010, 2011. They lost in the first round. 2011 is almost 10 years ago, which is hard to believe. I might mess up the map, but I'm hoping this team gets better because they've been screwed over in the draft sometimes, and if they don't make it, I think they got one more year or two after rebuilding because they got Jack Eichel, an elite centerman who's going to be as full potential pretty soon. They got that elite defenseman from Sweden, I can't say his name right. They got some young guys, and they got two people on that team that have Stanley Cup and playoff experience, like Scott Wilson, but he's just a grinder. He's a fourth liner. But they got Connor Sheary, who's been a first liner with Pitt, but this will determine, though, if Connor Sheary is a player that can score without Crosby, or he's just one of those guys. And they got Jeff Skinner in a trade who's going to come in handy to put up 20 goals. So, Buffalo fans, I'm rooting for you guys to get into the playoffs finally. I want to see you guys finally win a Stanley Cup one day and stop struggling. But hopefully you guys do. They got some veterans. They got some young guys. I don't know so much about the roster, but I feel like they got potential going soon. Alright, the next team is the only team out of these three that I pick in wild cards that might have a chance. And that is Ottawa. If you're an Ottawa Sens fan, I feel bad for you guys. I really do. After losing Carlson, if anyone who knows a Sens fan, give them a hug because they're going through tough times, and I'm serious. I just can't imagine what happened for the Sens. They were one goal away from going to the Stanley Cup final in 2017, and they get Duchesne after this season having confidence after they weren't expected, and just all falls apart. They lose Carlson, Bassard, and Mike Hoffman due to other stuff that happened off the ice, which I don't want to get into. But if this team is going to still contend, I think they'll be a wild card. But I feel like if things don't go good for them, they're going to be in this spot. And I think they should trade a couple guys to get pieces held. Trade Duchesne if he doesn't want to stay, because in 12 months he'll be gone, so I think it's the best to get pieces. And I'm not sure Bobby Ryan will be traded because he's got a $7 million contract, but they would have to retain salary. So in my opinion, I think they're going to have to trade some guys if they just can't make the playoffs. But if you're a Sens fan, you got some young guys going, especially on the defense, that can step up. Hopefully things get better. This is from a Pitts fan. I feel bad for you guys, and I hope things get better. And now on to the Canadians. I'm not going to get into the roster. I think their time is done. Their window's closed. Price is not getting any younger. He could bounce back, but Max Pacioretty, they lose a captain in leadership, and I don't think they're going anywhere for a while. I have nothing against Montreal right now. I just think their window's closed, in my opinion. So I'm going to pick them second last. And now, the Red Wings. The Empire's over, sadly for Red Wings fans. My little brother. My little brother's now heartbroken now. Zetterberg had to be forced to retire. And I think Detroit, the GM still doesn't get it that the team needs a rebuild bad. They got 2 prospects in the draft, and they have that Calder Cup champions from the AHL, but they just can't seem to use prospects. They got Larkin and all, but I think they're going to need goaltending a couple years from now, because they got Burney and Jimmy Howard still. Red Wings are going to pick them last, because I think they're not winning a Stanley Cup for a long time. They need to get into rebuild mode. They got 2 prospects, and they got Larkin, and I think they got some other guys, which I'm not going to check, but so those are my Atlantic divisions. Plus they got Mike Green and as the defenseman, but veterans. But I think they need to get a lot younger. And for a Red Wings fan, which is my brother is, at least he got to see a cup. And Red Wings fans, one day you guys will be back in your former glory. One day. It's just going to take a while, because nothing lasts forever. But hell, you guys had an amazing dynasty. Well, not a dynasty, but a couple of cups. Back to back. The last team to do it before the Penguins won in 17. Oh, I think I just messed up what I said, but you get what I mean. 2002 and 2008. So, yeah. Anyway, these are my hockey predictions, everyone, for the Atlantic Division. What's your predictions? And leave your thoughts, and I'm out here.